Nebraska legislature's Economic Forecasting Advisory Board this week lowered its revenue projection nearly $153 million. The revision would put the state almost $288 million short of its minimum reserve. The University of Nebraska-Lincoln's Bureau of Business Research, or BBR, said recently it does see improvement in the state's economy towards the middle of the year. The BBR's leading economic indicator aims to predict conditions 6 months into the future and saw what its authors call a sharp rise in its latest edition. Eric Thompson is the director of UNL's BBR. He joined us Wednesday to explain how the indicator attempts to forecast growth.
Well, our leading indicator is comprised of 6 components, each of which individually predicts future economic growth about 6 months in the future, and then also together does that. So we have manufacturing hours, we have building permits for single-family homes, we have airplane passengers in Nebraska, we have initial claims for unemployment insurance, we have the value of the U.S. dollar, and we have a survey of 500 Nebraska businesses that we do every month.
So just a bit further on that, how much of that is emotion-based, so the survey, versus hard data, the unemployment claims, for instance?
So the survey would typically account for about 10% of the indicator. So it's primarily based on hard data about the economy. It's all information that's available really quickly, so it's always pretty current. But we like to combine that hard data part of it with the opinions in the survey. Those opinions about sales and employment over the next 6 months are a really strong leading indicator for the economy. You definitely see businesses' expectations swing as the economy changes.
So what does the indicator show in the latest month?
Well, in the latest month, it was up very strongly. So almost a 2% increase. That's in our rapid increase zone in terms of the increase. So it suggests that Nebraska's economy will be growing quite rapidly in 6 months. So it's designed to predict 6 months in the future. So by the summer, our economic growth should turn from sort of slow and steady to strong.
One of the reasons I found that interesting was because if you look at agriculture, I don't know that there's a ton of positivity out there right now. Can you explain how much agriculture generally contributes to Nebraska's economy and how it's factored in with this?
Well, measurements I've worked on suggest that about 1/4 of the Nebraska economy is tied to agriculture. Some of that is, of course, farmers and ranchers, but also the businesses that supply agriculture, the businesses that process crops and livestock, and then other people that benefit from ag due to the multiplier effect. So it's about 1/4 of our economy, clearly the largest individual sector in our state's economy.
You also have a coincident economic indicator. How does agriculture play into both of these predictors?
Well, the leading indicator, about 1/3 of the leading indicator is due to the value of the U.S. dollar, because that's so critical to Nebraska agriculture in influencing prices and also manufacturers in Nebraska. So it enters the leading indicator in that way. For the coincident indicator, we actually have the price of corn and beef as our 2 largest agricultural commodities, and that accounts for about 20% of our coincident economic indicator index.
Can you explain more on how the strength of the dollar is maybe impacting the economy, agriculture overall?
Sure. So there tends to be an inverse relationship between the value of the U.S. dollar and the price of commodities. So one of the factors 4 or 5 years ago that was contributing to the high prices for agricultural commodities is we had a pretty weak U.S. dollar then. Especially in the last year, it's strengthened quite a bit, and that's put some additional downward pressure on ag commodity prices. I think producers were expecting those prices to moderate from the high levels they were at 3 or 4 years ago, but with the rapidly rising U.S. dollar, the fall in prices has been a little steeper than I think people were hoping for.
Based on the last few months of your indicator, how do you see the economy playing out to summer?
Well, again, I think the Nebraska economy in the summer will shift from solid, steady growth to rapid growth. So we should have some good news for our state's economy and hopefully a stabilization in the ag sector as well.